What would you do when you are living in a world full of giant monsters walking around you? Welcome back to Classic Movie Recap. Today, we will be summarizing a movies based on an epic battle, Godzilla and Kong, two ancient titans, engage as mankind discover their shared pasts and how they relate to the mysteries surrounding Skull Island. Kong has made the Hollow Earth his new home 3 years after vanquishing Mechagodzilla, and he is looking for others of his kind. Godzilla kills Scylla in Rome and then rests in the Colosseum to uphold order between humans and the enormous monsters known as Titans on Earth's surface. The Monarch organization thinks there will be peace as long as Godzilla and Kong function on different planes.
The researchers find strong energy readings emanating from Kong's wart dog trap sinkhole at a Monarch station in Hollow Earth. In the meantime, Gia, Eileen's adopted daughter, begins experiencing vertigo during class at Monarch Base Academy. As snow begins to fall inside the room, she shuts her eyes and her hands begin to move on their own. When the teacher wakes her up after she gets a sudden vision of the Titans clashing, she finds that she has drawn on her desk in schoolwork without meaning to. Gia was afraid of the frightening things she saw in the nighttime. She went to see Eileen because she was anxious. She was certain that Kong was in danger in the elusive Hollow Earth, and that she needed to calmly and quickly contact him. Eileen offered support and reassured Gia that she understood her worries. Eileen was in her room brooding over Gia's artwork. She then realized that Gia's drawings and the strange text she had discovered from Hollow Earth were almost exact replicas. At the same time, one of the Hollow Earth outposts is destroyed by an unidentified Titan. The following day, Eileen leaves for Miami in search of Bernie, the conspiratorial podcaster who previously assisted her with Titans. As long as he gets to go to Hollow Earth, he consents to work with her once more. Eileen gets a notification at that precise moment about another energy surge that even Godzilla can detect. He promptly departs from Rome in pursuit of the source, demolishing further structures along the route. Everyone in the base panics as the access point opens at the same moment, but Kong is the only one who calls for assistance with his tooth. The veterinarian Trapper uses his special airplane to fly over to Kong as the scientists give him a tranquilizer. He uses it to remove Kong's damaged tooth and replace it with a highly strong titanium prosthetic. Bernie then informs Eileen that he has discovered a Titan emerging from the surface for every spike. According to his interpretation, this energy is a cry for help from Hollow Earth, and it is coming from people, not Titans. After Hampton gives the go-ahead for a team to descend, a pilot by the name of Mikal takes Eileen, Bernie, Trapper, and Gia onto his extremely sophisticated aircraft, and they pursue Kong as he leaps back into the access point. After some time, our heroes finally reach the amazing world of Hollow Earth. Hampton was observing Godzilla intently from a control room on Earth. Godzilla moves northward, out of Rome. Godzilla launches an attack on a French nuclear station in an attempt to absorb radiation and strengthen himself. Hampton conjectured that Godzilla might be getting ready for an impending attack. She attempted to tell Eileen that, but there were distortions in the communication between Earth and Hollow Earth. When Eileen's team arrives at the Monarch outpost, they discover to their distress that every scientist has perished and the building has been completely demolished. Trapper claims that the bloodied paw print on the stone walls, which does not belong to Kong, is a call for war. They came across a functioning security camera and intend to use it to obtain information. In another scene, Kong grabs his axe before diving into the hole he dug himself the other day. Along with the bones of similar-looking creatures, he discovers a number of shimmering crystals. He finds an unknown underground world after passing a waterfall and hearing some distant roars. When a shadow starts to approach him, he encounters Suko, a baby ape. When Kong makes a calm approach, Suko bites his palm and calls up additional apes to attack. Kong is still stronger and effortlessly pushes them aside after they tackle him. Kong grabs Suko when he leaps on his face and beats the other apes using him as a club. One of the apes nearly tumbles off a cliff during their struggle, but Kong snatches him and hauls him to safety. Kong knocks the ungrateful ape off the cliff when he tries to stab him with a bone dagger. Kong avoids the last ape's attempt to flee in terror by throwing a rock at it. Kong then uses a roar to demonstrate his power over Suko and asks where the sword originates from, forcing Suko to act as his guide. Eventually, Suko leads Kong to a drinking fountain while behaving shady. Kong is suddenly attacked by a massive serpent monster that emerges from the sea, capturing him with its lengthy body to squeeze him. Suko flees right away, but an axe suddenly flew in blocking in his way. It turns out that Kong effortlessly beheaded the creature. Then Kong takes a break to eat the serpent and even shares it with Zuko, who is surprised that Kong is sharing his food even after luring Kong to a trap. Eileen watches the security tape on the aircraft and found out that the outpost was destroyed by an ape. Their ship begins to sink due to an unknown energy surge, but luckily, Mikau regains control in time. They land the ship and follow Gia's instructions into the jungle since she can detect the source of the surge. After spending some time exploring, Gia discovers some ancient ruins that appear to be the ruins of the Iwi tribe. The queen of the monsters, Mothra, is decorated on a large structure at the back. Gia presses a triangle on the wall that has a luminous bug on it, and water shoots out. As they pursue it through the building, they come across an organic shield. It glows when Trapper touches it, and Gia opens it and revealed a whole new underground world within the Hollow Earth. After tracking down Godzilla, the submarine concludes that he is headed for the Arctic Ocean, home of the vicious Titan Tiamat. The scientists conclude that Godzilla will gain supercharged power if he destroys Tiamat. When the Monarch submarine arrives in Tiamat's domain a few hours later, it finds that their radar is being distorted by the Titan's radiation. Abruptly, the region becomes brighter due to Godzilla's nuclear breath, seriously damaging the submarine and breaking through a layer of ice to awaken the second Titan. In a flash, Tiamat emerges flaming purple, trapping Godzilla with its body until the latter retaliates by biting a large portion of Tiamat's skin. Godzilla begins to charge up by absorbing Tiamat's energy as soon as she bites back, creating an atomic ray that even reaches the surface. Godzilla enters its lair and, after transforming into sushi, lays down to absorb all the energy present in the area. Returning to Eileen's crew, they hear a disturbance and find themselves suddenly encircled by spear-wielding warriors. But they also choose to bring the others along after realizing who Gia is. When they arrive at a bright cave, they discover that the entire Iwi society is there, and that they are all telepathic. They see different vortex portals on the ceiling that might transport them wherever on Earth. The tribe's leader touches Gia's hands, and the two of them exchange memories in which the leader depicts the tribe's way of life and Gia depicts her own. The team's leader gives the go-ahead for her guards to release the remaining members. Eileen recognizes that this is where the distress signal originated when the group is led to a crystal formation. It was dispatched together with the large crystal to alert Godzilla of impending peril. Eileen interprets as special water is poured further into the Iwi's temple, illuminating the area and exposing the Iwi history written on the walls. The great apes once guarded humanity, but in a conflict with Godzilla and his kind, the Scar King, a cunning commander, rallied an army of apes to try and invade the surface world. To stop the Scar King and his army from assaulting again, Godzilla intervened and imprisoned them in Hollow Earth. But this threat will return, and Godzilla is already claiming that it will. To restore peace, Queen Mothra must be reawakened by a direct descendant of the Iwi.
Meanwhile, Kong follows Zuko and discovers where all the big apes are, which surprises him that there are a lot more of his own kind. Kong witnessed a senior gorilla being harmed by one of Scar King's guards. Kong becomes enraged when he sees brutality occurring. Kong demands to see the Titan in command after punching the ape to the ground. The other apes laugh at Kong when the Scar King emerges and notices his metal teeth. The previous worker steps up to protect Scar King when he tries to penalize Zuko for bringing Kong. Kong cries out in protest as the Scar King kicks the ape into a lava pit. A battle breaks out, with Scar King brandishing a whip fashioned from the spine of another Titan and Kong using his axe to counter. With the help of this weapon, Kong comes dangerously close to get strangled by the Scar King, but he is able to throw him off. Scar King, not one to back down, unveils Shimo, the Titan that started the Ice Age, with the help of a shining crystal at the end of his whip. Shimo is in excruciating pain from the whip crystal and is compelled to follow Scar King. Kong attempts to deflect the ice beam that it is breathing towards him with his axe. But because the explosion is too strong, Kong's arm gets frostbite as a result of the ice surrounding it. Zuko calls Kong to guide him out of the cave since he is too weak to fight. Kong escapes while the other apes take his axe. The Iwi hurry to open the veil as a horn alert suddenly wails, revealing Kong with his injured arm. The enemy ape that secretly followed Kong notices the whereabouts of Kong, promptly departs to inform its superior. Scar King musters an army and rides Shimo to command them in preparation for an invasion. This was noticed by Tsuko while seeing from afar. Godzilla rises in the Arctic, shattering the ice to reveal its fresh magenta light. Returning to Kong, Gia tries to reassure him that they will take care of him, but he is too weak and falls to the ground. After examining the wound, Trapper reveals that he has been developing a tool known as Operation Powerhouse. Returning to the damaged outpost with a slew of fragments, he unveils a massive glove that he wraps around Kong's wounded arm. Kong takes a while to adjust, but as soon as he does, he can move again and hits the ground with satisfaction. Tsuko arrives to alert them to Scar King's schemes. Kong then instantly appears in the middle of Egypt by jumping through a vortex portal, unintentionally harming the pyramids and sending people falling. As the Iwi prepare Gia, the girl goes up to a big crystal and uses her hand to release some gold energy. Mothra is woken up by this and thanks Gia before taking off for the surface. The Iwi then begin to leave the cave. Godzilla makes landfall in Egypt, where Kong attempts to clarify the circumstances. Godzilla, however, forces Kong against the pyramids because he believes the latter intends to destroy humanity. When a brawl breaks out, Kong uses his mechanical arm to deliver some solid blows. Then, as he holds Godzilla's tail and the stars pull him in the direction of the portal, Godzilla glows and lets forth an atomic breath that blows up more pyramids. He knocks Kong to the ground and charges once again, but Mothra shows up and pushes him away. Gia also shows up, and she and Mothra utilize telepathy to ultimately clarify the matter. Godzilla roars in approval to join forces. Following the Iwi, Eileen's group descends to the area beneath the pyramids, where they add a crimson substance to the water to make the crystals move. With any luck, this will cause a gravitational wave that will slow down the terrible titans. Scar King enters through the veil at that precise moment, forcing Shimo to freeze the crystals before they can complete the procedure. Luckily, Godzilla and Kong appear at the same moment that the crystals release the surge, leaping to meet Scar King and Shimo. The titans are buoyant due to gravity, but that doesn't stop them from striking one another when the opportunity arises. Tsuko rushes in to stop some ape warriors from joining the battle by hurling pebbles at them. Godzilla is about to freeze as Shimo fires ice at him, but Mothra diverts his attention, causing Godzilla to shatter the ice with its magenta charge. Then Tsuko kicks an ape guard off to its death, and Mothra catches Trapper's spacecraft and puts it down. Sadly, Kong loses his axe once more as a gateway appears and pulls all the titans to Brazil. As soon as the waves freeze and the titans break through the ice, everyone on the beach flees in fear. Before the city begins to freeze, Scar King forces Shimo to use her ice powers, turning the sky pitch black. Just before Kong attacks Scar King, Godzilla suddenly launches an atomic ray at Shimo, forcing him to lose a tooth. The four titans are still fighting, throwing each other around and demolishing scores of buildings in the process. Scar King and Shimo attack Kong together after the latter throws a building with his whip, causing Kong to utilize the glove to shield himself from an approaching ice beam. Godzilla finishes his charge at that precise moment and fires shots at Scar King, who parries the blow and strikes back with his whip. The crystal falls when Godzilla breaks it with his jaws after using it to knock Scar King to the ground. Godzilla fires at Scar King once more as Kong is still under Shimo's beam. Scar King leaps to avoid the shot and retrieves the crystal, but Godzilla shoots it out of his grasp. Then, as Kong and Scar King start battling for the crystal, Godzilla leaps on Shimo to attack it. The crystal is shattered by Tsuko when he suddenly arrives with the axe, sending a shockwave that knocks back all of the titans. After recuperating swiftly, Shimo understands that Scar King is no longer in charge of it. As retaliation for Kong and Godzilla tossing Scar King around like a tennis ball, Shimo fires his ice beam, freezing its slaver. Now that Godzilla is using his breath to clear the skies, Kong can toss him to the earth and break him to pieces. When the battle is finally finished, and Mothra returns Gia to the hollow earth, the young woman says she wishes to stay on the surface with Eileen. Godzilla comes to the Colosseum to relax after Mothra fixes the veil. After Kong and Tsuko ride Shimo back to the ape tribe, Kong wins the respect of the slaves and takes on a leadership role. So, how do you think about the movie? We think that if we stay in a world of big-size monsters, it is always wise to buy insurance because you never know when your house will be destroyed. Like and subscribe Classic Movie Recaps for updates if you enjoyed. Thanks for staying until the end. Till the next video.